likes of Jager O'Meara to come through with his very, very best form. And Jarman Impey also. He was terrific last week, and he's a significant recruit for them.
Liam Jones back in defence, as we're now accustomed to, as the Blues, or the Greys almost, as they are tonight, get ready to do battle against the Hawks. And Cruiser was impressive last week, continuing on from his form last year, gets them in. And this man also, who was outstanding, going back. Sicily kicks it down the line, and he finds Jarman Impey. Would have been pretty pleased with his start in Hawthorn colours last week. So here they are ready, and overlap run is good from Impey. Thumps it deep into attack. Jones to fly from behind and get the ball to ground and over the line and out of bounds. And he started well with a big spoil, Liam Jones.
There's the good ball use that we're used to seeing from Hawthorn. Good field kicking, linked it up. Wasn't a great kick inside the forward 50, but in the end a pretty good spoil.
We're keen to see if the Hawks can get back to that intense pressure in their attacking 50 that, for mine, dropped off certainly last year, a little bit in 2016.
Thomas initially, then Wiedering, who's back in the team this week. Off to Murphy. Won his second best and fairest last year for the Blues. Charlie Curnow with intent up in the air. Had a pretty quiet open to this JLT series against St Kilda, but flew pretty hard at that one.
Been a really good start from Jarman Impey. He's had a couple of early touches, been involved in the tackling there. Be interesting to see what sort of role they see for him. I think he'll play a little bit in the midfield, but a lot of that high half-forward role as well.
It'll be a good battle in the ruck tonight. McAvoy versus Cruiser. Here's Impey again with his third touch. The entry not bad for Schoenmakers. Matched by Marchbank. Blues have got numbers. It's a bit of a sky ball. Cripps tried to spin around from the Burn exit kick. Advantage paid. And opportunity for Luke Bruce. He doesn't need much of a sniff in front of goal. He can go back and have the shot for goal. Directed well by Burton.
Joe, take him out. Joe. It's a good early signs of the defensive intent in their forward 50, the Hawks. A couple of times we've seen the Blues actually win possession deep in their defence, but no easy path out, and that's what Alistair Clarkson wants there. Now it comes down to converting your opportunities.
Good enough. Keeps it low, but it's dead straight, and Hawthorn have their first goal. Kicked by Luke Bruce. And his fewest disposals since his debut season in 2011 last year, and his least goals since 2012, but still 33 goals, 17.
Well, here's the rebound. Just keeping that ball inside the forward 50 is so paramount. Nice little handball from McAvoy, and a beautifully weighted kick from Ryan Burton set that one up for Luke Bruce too. He doesn't miss too often. He's had a couple of patches where he's been a bit wobbly, but in general terms, he's an outstanding shot at goal.
Speaking of which, let's get to Ben Dixon.
Thanks very much, Hutto. Well, Sean Burgoyne started in the goal square once again. Last week, he didn't spend a lot of time there. It was more mid and back. I think this year you'll find he'll spend a lot more time forward, not only from his pressure, but his smarts, and he can sneak a goal or two, and he's in his 18th season, so I think they're going to look after the old boy a bit this year.
Hubbard slapped it away. Now Smith into the Impey gather. Sicily was going to fire the handball out, thought better of it. Oh, there's a very indifferent kick from Hardwick. Gives Charlie Curnow a chance, and things only get better as Burton slipped over. Curnow with a sauntering low kick in towards Silvani. Frawley back in the team for the Hawks, adds a bit of muscle and experience, and kicks cleanly to half back to Sicily, who wastes no time at all. Takes it along that half back line. Gunston, who spent a bit of time in the back half of last year in defence, takes the mark.
And I think all Hawks fans will be loving having James Frawley back in the side. That was a great turnover ball by him. He won it back and got it out with possession kept.
Curnow gets mobbed. Pickett gets given around the kitchen. The umpire gave him a long time. Fair bit of latitude on that occasion. Fisher pounces, steals himself to get the kick inside 50. It lands hopelessly in between the two Carlton players. Unfortunate there. Kennedy did all he could, but it's a behind.
Fisher and Paddy Dow have all of a sudden added a fair bit of pace. Charlie Curnow as well is really quick. They were a bit slow a couple of years ago, and I think they've started to address that.
Just felt different last week watching them, didn't it? There was a lot to be excited about. We know it's only early. Carlton fans would have come away from last week, I think, really buoyed by what they saw. So tonight becomes a bit of a test to see whether it really...
whether it was real or not.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a good start because Hawthorn are out of the blocks. They are playing good football. at the start of this quarter, and they haven't been embarrassed at all, Carlton.
Grips to Cruiser, who's so pivotal to them with that momentum push forward. Kennedy to Fisher again. Good start from him, only getting better. Carlton's first goal landed by Zach Fisher.
He's a player, Jason, this young bloke.
Got speed, got genuine speed too. I like what Matty Cruz is doing in the ruck. He's involved in everything, and he doesn't just get tap-outs. He follows up and he gets involved again. Seen him do it a couple of times already. Takes the ball, gets the quick hand pass away, and that opens it up. He actually had options. You could see it was Curnow ducking over the back, looking for that chip over the top, but the kick was good enough to go through without needing it.
Yeah, it's the clearance that counts. And Matty Cruiser, doesn't matter whether you win the hit out to advantage, it's who gets the clearance. And if Matty Cruiser gets his own clearances, then he adds an extra midfielder of sorts, and he's in really good early season form, albeit JLT.
Jared's on hit out watch again at the start of the season. The Hawks going forward. Bit of physical bodies being thrown around. Lamb feeling it and then tries to squirm his way out.
Didn't try one iota to get rid of that ball then.
Well, he did when he finally got wrapped up and when the ball had been pulled in, so he actually did it quite cleverly.
Right here.
Cruiser worrying McAvoy at this early stage. Mitchell flipped it out again. There's a high ball from Fisher.
Great mark. Coming back with a fly to the play.
Daniel Howe. Over the head that time of Cruiser and well juggled by Roughhead. Just eases the kick into the pocket. It was guided perfectly for McAvoy.
Well, it's a clever kick forward. He just looked at the matchup, didn't he? You've got a ruckman that goes forward. Lockie Plowman, he's a reasonable sized defender, but he's not big by any stretch of the imagination. And Roughhead just kicked it to the 1-on-1 to the advantage of his teammate.
Exactly. It was just 3 metres to his right side. You could see that McAvoy had his player on his left side. It was a brilliant kick.
14 goals won last year, Ben McAvoy. And then he hits the post.
He's going to need to do things like that. We're seeing Cruiser getting on top in the ruck, but what McAvoy does around the ground is largely why the Hawks were so keen to get hold of him. Takes a lot of intercept marks, and he can push forward and kick goals.
Burton fires out the handball as they effect the turnover straight away.
Repeat entries inside forward 50. That's when you're at your most damaging. I suspect Charlie Curnow may have dislocated a finger, but right now he looks ready to explode. I hope he hasn't injured himself.
This is the guy the Hawks need back in his best form, Paul Pureblug.
One thing he was last year is accurate. 19 goals, 4, and that can count for plenty.
And the thing about Paul Pureblug from a Hawthorn perspective, and it's been missing for a couple of seasons really, there's an incredible intensity in everything that he does. This is the fly from Curnow saw. I think he shook the hand a little bit. Jared may have popped a finger or got a knuckle on it, but Pureblug is a goal kicker, he's a defensive beast, but he brings energy to the entire Hawthorn team, and they need him up and running.
A nice little distribution by Ryan Burton again.
Just 8 disposals, no goals last week in JLT 1. Poor Pureblug, but he's hit the scoreboard already. Nice bright start in the sunshine, which is fading into the early evening in Launceston. Burgoyne to O'Meara, and now Harwood off the right boot. Stretching out Gunston, looking to get there ahead of Marchbank. Call it a draw. Marchbank wins the day, at least initially, to get the handball back to Byrne. A worrying kick from Wiedering. Straight to Burgoyne, who just got enough to get it over the top and into the forward line. Desperate search to find a teammate. Eventually O'Meara was able to take it back from Howe and Schoenmakers, and they go short, and again it's Pureblug.
Well, the pressure of Hawthorn, the forward half pressure, has created the last 2 shots at goal. One was from a kick in, and that one was from a horrible kick from Wiedering, turning it over in that dangerous area 60 metres out from goal.
Kicked a goal from one side, but only behind from the other. The Hawks 2-2, the Blues 1-1. Kate Simpson, what an outstanding contributor he's been to this footy club. 286 games now. That one won't go down in his career highlights, I don't think, for a kick in.
To get away with that kick, that was amazing.
Yep. Cade had his hand up in the air, well and truly. I think he's claiming a mulligan on that one.
He's 33 years of age, still right up there in their defensive numbers last year for winning the ball, intercepting, getting it out of there. Wright got interfered with as he kicked it. That means Hawthorn have got the numbers there. Duray with a big set-up kick. The Blues have got an extra back there floating across, and it's an effective one again from Byrne.
It's interesting the matchup defenders have to deal with. In that stage, Liam Jones was guarding Paul Puopolo. And he was a ball watcher, and Paul Puopolo was just at the front of the pack. It was really Russian roulette as to whether or not he got the ball.
Let's get to Ben Dixon.
Thanks, Hutto. They're playing quite small in their front half, Hawthorn. Jared Ruffhead's really the only tall, and when he empties out, McAvoy's sliding behind, which we saw the connection before when Ruffy hit him inside 50. So they're creating a lot of pressure. They've got Burgoyne down there, so they are quite quick and small and creating a bit of chaos down here at the moment. As you can see, Carlton struggling to get it out at the moment.
Yeah, Wright's kick going nowhere. Kennedy took possession, could have been in trouble. Umpire let them play it out. Schoenmaker's kick ended up falling for Gunston with a little bit of help. Into the 50. Puopolo has another crack at it. Sits in the square. Simpson a little glance over the shoulder. Couldn't do enough with it. Bruce fought a one-man battle. Now the help arrives. Puopolo and Jones. It's out.
Amazing pickup, this one. He gets away with a little push, but then look at the left-hand scoop. Just shoot the ball out, keep it alive.
Finding difficulty clearing the half-forward line here. Carlton are getting some time in their own forward half. It's only a matter of time unless they do.
Well, Burgoyne, that was too easy as far as Carlton are concerned. Cute little kick, Puopolo, top of the square. Tough for Bruce, surrounded by the Blues. This is Byrne with the trap and the handball. He needed something quick.
Good follow-up running from Byrne.
It was. Good play by Marchbank to keep it going. Henderson looking for a free. Desperation from Thomas. Matched by Hardwick. And Bruce gets rolled over.
Well, you can tell the season's not far away, Jason. It's pretty hot out there at the moment.
And I'm absolutely convinced that right now the thing that's pleasing Alistair Clarkson the most is the defensive pressure that's being applied in the forward half of the ground.
Look at the tackle count, Jace. 15-2. Schoenmakers, the rucking and the roving. Ruffhead able to hand it off. Burton with a high ball. There might have been some interference to Carlton there.
Hand it back.
Going to Mullet. And his most successful career disposal-wise at North Melbourne last year, but now finds himself a Blue. Ed Curnow. Copped an injury towards the back end of last year. Hardwick sends it back towards Curnow, but he's outsized clearly by Ruffhead.
Winning right around the ground at the present time. It's 7-3 for effective clearances from 10 stoppages. He's over Hawthorn.
You can understand why he's upset. He doesn't think he's actually moved off the mark. The umpire believes he's taken a half a step. You can see the umpire clearly calling play on. Ruffhead thinks he's just standing still and can't for the life of him understand why he's been pinged. But umpire very clear in his instruction.
Charlie Curnow marching out, kicking it long. And it didn't favour Kaz Bolton. Takes out his frustration on James Sicily with a bit of a shove as we go back down to Dicker.
Who's up? John. Levi. Hold the meter.
Definitely ran sideways once he went back behind the mark, Ruffhead. So you can see why the umpire called the decision. It was a good decision.
Dicker in a moment. Ed Curnow over the top of it. So to Wright. And it's just something inside 50. Lamb represents Carlton. Gunston for the Hawks. The ball not getting out in a hurry as the numbers multiply. Could only scrap it out for so long. So an opportunity for Carlton here at last. Inside 50 is 9-4 against. If you're a Carlton fan. Lone goal kicked by Zach Fisher. Casbolt doing the ruck work, but in the end the Hawks have got the answer from the clearance, although Jones is going to mark the Morrison kick. and thump it a little further and deep into attack. That might be a free to Levi Casbolt. No, it's against him. It's going to Burton.
He's had a pretty good start to the first quarter, Burton.
The Shellmaker's providing a path out.
Stay behind.
Back it's Morrison.
He made his debut in round 23 last year, just the one game. He's looking to add to that tally in 2018.
Looked okay last week. Here's O'Meara bursting through. He's double the amount of handballers kicks last year, O'Meara. I think we'll see that change this year as he gets some more continuity in his footy. And we try again with you, Dicko.
Thanks, Hutto. Well, you can see when Hawthorn have got the ball, they make the ground quite big. Carlton are going very skinny at the moment, so down the line, and the pressure is on at Hawthorn, there's no doubt about it, but you've got to create width at this ground, so you've got to look to switch and continue to stretch the defence.
I think they're going down the line mainly, Dicko, because they're under so much pressure when they get the ball. It's been an outstanding element of Hawthorn's game to date.
Hurried kick out of there. Casbolt sets them in motion. Curno's looked the most likely.
Foot race.
As far as an offensive threat is concerned, Chase is on. Mackay just gets dumped straight into the ground, Harry Mackay.
I don't think Harry's seen Wayne Harms's tap across the ground.
It was interesting. He wasn't running full pace. He wanted to stay balanced and try and use his body to keep Sicily off the ball.
He had a teammate inside that he needed to just flick it out to.
Casbolt versus McAvoy. Cripps eventually with his strength got the hand out. Fisher might kick his second. He has. Just pounced on the opportunity. 19-year-old Zach Fisher, who last year probably the hallmark of what we saw was his pressure and his forward work on the opposition, but just the 4 goals in 17 games, but was good last week with 17 disposals and has started really strongly here.
He's electric, Jason.
He's leading the way, isn't he? 4 possessions, the most of any of the Carlton players, and a couple of goals to his name. Looking to lock down a position from round 1, and you'd have to suggest in the form he's in, it'd be just about impossible not to pick him.
He looks dangerous. He looks hungry. He runs both ways hard. He's a player. He's just got to do it now, put it on the scoreboard.
Casbolt still in the ruck for Carlton. McAvoy following up. Hardwick, and the hands were terrific from Howe. Impey took the rewards, kicked it to Burgoyne. Jones just step away. Piopolo tries to sneak past, but there's no sneaking. He's gone. And Piopolo arguing that he was over the boundary line, but not a lot of sympathy shown from the umpires.
Good defensive work there by Liam Jones. He didn't get sucked in by the fade. He just went at the hips and nailed him.
Howe versus Fisher.
Eye contact. Eye contact.
Might have been slightly
Not much in it.
Cripps.
Oh my God.
Howe again to take.
Hold there.
Into Isaac Smith.
You're out.
Just his second disposal of the game so far.
He's actually had a reasonably quiet start to the game, Patrick Cripps. He's only had just a couple of touches.
Whitecross, that's his first touch, linking up with Glass. And he prepared to take on and run past Cunningham, but he was that excited his kick wasn't so good.
Horrible kick inside the attacking 50 in the end. Oh, that's a dangerous kick too.
It was almost trucked, wasn't it, on the way back? The kick.
Great pressure here from Hawthorn. This is what modern football's all about, forward half pressure.
O'Meara, high ball, McAvoy coming, and can't take the mark. Jones got away with one that time. Cunningham gets buffeted off the ball. He wasn't the only one, though. Impey had a first go. Great reflex action from Gunston. Was enough to give Glass a left foot opportunity. And that's a much better kick into the 50 from Glass.
Maybe he should kick on his opposite foot all the time.
I like that one.
Very proficient on his left side with that kick.
He just looked up and he saw him. He's got great vision. Hawthorn obviously really liked this young bloke from Ireland. Gave him a look at it last year. And he's a certainty for next week or 2 weeks' time.
Piopolo hangs that one well out to the right.
Very similar spot to where he kicked the goal from previously, so should understand the breeze. A little bit left to right. You can see the ball just heading that way, and he never gave that one a chance. I don't know if it's just me, but the colour of the uniforms, I don't know what it is. The pants look wrong.
Look wrong?
They just don't look like they fit properly.
Well, I think they've actually pulled out a batch from the 80s.
Yes.
That's fine.
They look weird.
Coming out here, you're skinny. Matty, just up with me. That's
Here's
it.
James
Hold there.
Sicily. Doing what he does so well, intercepting the ball off the opposition and giving it plenty. Breeze will take it a little to the right. The fist from Jones was effective. Cunningham straight into and out of trouble. Well done. Jones, at a glance, didn't like what was on offer on the left, so he goes straight down. Glass got a little hand in the back. Or a chop of the arms, whichever you like.
Cannot clear the ball. This is great pressure by the press of Hawthorn.
Now Burgoyne's going to get a tight shot from the pocket.
So after a dodgy first kick, a couple of really nice inside 50s from Connor Glass.
3 Blues flew, and there was still one down. That one was Liam Jones, and he is only getting rush kicks out of there, which means they have a return to send the sign on them. It's coming straight back, this time from Roughhead.
And again, another turnover, and it's been the sole source of their scoring.
Which is so markedly different to when they used to win the ball back in defence and then use their foot skills to go the length of the ground. This is the nature of the game and the way it's changed in recent seasons, in particular 2017, the way Richmond played.
38 goals, 21 last year from Jared Roughhead. Played plenty of footy down here in Launceston, but he can't quite get that one right.
Well, Clarko was the first with the cluster to have the big formation, blocking off kick-ins. It's really just gravitated from there.
Got it? Getting close to the ruck.
This is a regular season length match tonight, so it really is the final dress rehearsal for all teams. JLT 2.
And Hawthorn reducing their number on the interchange hunter to make it a little bit more match realistic.
Whereas Carlton decided to take what was on offer. But it'll be interesting to see how they use their players. Whether they hold some back to play just a quarter or a half.
There's no doubt Alistair Clark's be absolutely wrapped with everything they're doing right now, except conversion. That's a slide.
24 tackles to 8, representing exactly what you're saying, Jared.
Yeah, I mean, they could be 3 or 4 goals in front, further in front than they are, and yet they just lead by 3 points.
And the Blues a little rattled on the way out. Right turned it over, and then Glass doesn't make the most of it on this occasion.
Back here. That's it. Behind the line. Thank you. Play on.
I think it hurt the Blues just to buy a bit of time, hit some targets, a little bit of uncontested possession, uncontested marks.
Oh,
another turnover in the forward 50.
Murphy was a sitting duck. Bruce has got Burgoyne in the square. Roughhead decided to ride his luck. It's out on the full as we go back to Ben Dixon.
He's just limped off the ground, so it doesn't look good. Cruz not sure what the injury is there. It is left ankle. So he's just tweaked the left ankle, so the physios will have a look at that and they'll keep you updated.
Stood on Daniel Howe's foot, just rolled it, hopefully just a very minor strain.
Oh, Murphy unawares again of what was coming. Silvani. I think everyone in footy really hopes that Matty Cruiser gets a good run out of this year. He obviously did last year and got into the All-Australian 40.
Watch his foot here. Now he steps and he rolls it there, the left ankle.
He copped everything there, wasn't it?
Last been very prominent. Isaac Smith finds his left side.
Hasn't had much of it, Isaac Smith, despite the fact that they're dominating. Sometimes the wings like that, it can just not come your way.
Wiedering, Cripps to try and tidy it up. He backed himself against Piopolo. Might regret that. Archbank, enlist Plowman, had to arch the back, and he did just at the right moment. Continuing to get adventurous across half-back. And then takes them very wide. Right, had to prop, just couldn't hang on to the mark. Howe pouncing, handballing. Smith turning quickly, looking for help. Finds Mitchell in the middle. And then the low kick in for Gunston was just fine. Oh, Luke Bruce almost dropped it. O'Meara set it up. Now, Bruce should be able to finish it off. Be under siege back there, Liam Jones.
Must be a bit of breeze out there. We're seeing players missing targets, dropping chest marks. I wonder if there's
early season pressure and
going on.
Fumbling.
We'll get Dicko to tell us what he can tell from ground level. We watch Bruce come in, and he's fading a little, but it's still full points. And Hawthorn getting some reward for their dominance in this opening term.
Well, the intercept number would be extreme right now. for Hawthorn in their forward half. They have just won the ball back time and time again. A little bit of a lucky one there. It was half a throw, but good mopping up from Tom Mitchell and good execution. The number is 12-2. They have just absolutely taken Carlton's back half to the cleaners and continually won the ball back without it crossing the centre line.
Thing is, though, when Carlton has been able to go forward, they've actually looked dangerous.
Yeah, they do.
They've found space and they've looked like they're capable of scoring when they do go forward.
They've scored 3 of their 6 entries, the Blues. And this man's kicked both their goals. This time, Fisher's efforts doesn't produce anything meaningful for Carlton.
Digo, can you give us a little summation of what the breeze is doing? Is it favouring either end?
It's favouring Carlton. There's a little bit happening down their end. When you get down Hawthorn's end, it's just a little bit of left to right. So they're not totally into it. It's a funny breeze down here at Tassie, but it's certainly helping Carlton this quarter.
There's 2 chest marks Matty Wright's dropped.
Hardwick there, and almost could have been rewarded with a free kick. Glass has done enough to get it to O'Meara. Hardwick back on his feet, keeping it low as the Hawks make the footy precious. Finds Isaac Smith building old Hawthorn style with little short passes. Hitting target after target. And then eyeing off the middle of the ground to McAvoy. Had some run from behind. Glass calls for it.
They're lucky not to get a 50-metre penalty. They had one player run straight through the protected zone.
For a bounce handball. That was interesting. Okay, a lingering tackle. Umpire kept the whistle away. Glass back to Sicily. Quick change of mind. Was a good one. A long kick. They've got the extra back there, the Blues. And towering in the air was Wiedering.
Great mark, in fact.
Yeah, it was. You can just see a couple of times that long kick into Hawthorn's forward line. The ball is dropping a little short.
Mullet has drilled that pass right onto the chest of Jack Gunson. And he goes short to Burgoyne, and quarter time can't come quick enough for the Blues right now.
No, they just haven't coped with the extra pressure that Hawthorn have brought to bear. In their forward half, Hawthorn have been absolutely superb. They've won it, they've got it in there, and they have kept it there until they have scored. They haven't probably scored anywhere near as much as they could have, and that'll be the only query that Alistair Clarkson will be trying to sort out at quarter time.
17 goals, 10 last year. Sean Burgoyne, it's his 18th season. Extraordinary tale it's been of success, both at Port Adelaide initially and then particularly at Hawthorn. He too has got the goal-kicking disease. Hawks not making the most of their 19 entries at all. They're 3 goals, 5.
Yeah, and I think if Carlton can get to the first break, only 10 points down, get a chance to readjust, have a chat about a few things, get themselves right back in it.
Simpson, almost the one-hander to Casbolt. Do find a way to get out of there. McKay at the back, chance to run onto it. Pickett,
Take him on.
finally got the run of the ball. You can pop the handball over the top. Advantage is paid. Lamb in the right spot. And the Blues are going to be even closer than 10 points, Jace.
That's outstanding. And that's one thing we did say is every time they go forward, it's an open forward line. They've got pace galore there. And we've spoken about Fisher, who's kicked the first couple of goals. And now they get the opportunity of Pickett to just bolt along like that and back his speed. That's what I love. He showed some good toe too, Sicily in the chase. Would have been a free kick anyway. But they do look like scoring when they go forward, the Blues. It's very promising from their perspective.
It is a bit of a byproduct if you put all your assets in the protecting your forward half of it, isn't it? Like if you really put all the pressure and the numbers up, you are vulnerable on the way back the other way.
Yep.
Well, Levi Casbolt now has a big challenge. I suspect for the rest of the game. I don't think we'll see Matty Cruiser back, but he gets an opportunity to give himself 3 hard quarters of running through the middle of the ground in the ruck.
Last 25 seconds. Clean exit, and Carlton could find themselves in front.
Good too.
Kennedy, high ball. McKay has to battle against 2 or 3. Frawley was one of those. Takes the ball to ground, and he's got to get a free from the back, but could easily have been pinged for holding the ball as he went to ground with it. That will end any chance of further scoring in this opening quarter. Hawthorn, the dominant team in most of the indicators, but only 4 points ahead where it counts. And that's on the scoreboard. 3-5 to 3-1. Pretty willing encounter in Launceston as the action continues on Fox Footy.
Fisher getting involved with a couple of goals. Jared Pickett's got really good leg speed. Jed Lamb's looked lively up forward. And Charlie Curnow, I think, has been excellent. He's had half a dozen possessions and he hasn't hit the scoreboard yet, but he's creating a lot of things.
Yeah, let's hope they can get a little bit more flow and get the ball through the middle and see if they can hit up a few of their forwards. Paddy Dow, after such an outstanding 4 quarters last week, has just come back to the field, just one touch, so there's a lot of improvement in his game.
Second quarter underway.
Speaking of which.
Yeah, Paddy Dow charging through. So impressive in that week 1 match, particularly the way he stormed out of the middle a couple of times. Mitchell just keeps churning them out. Burton, she had a glance, saw there was a couple of one-on-ones deep. Burgoyne, as Dicko said, might find himself in some one-on-ones in the forward 50. And he's such a versatile player that you could see him being very dangerous.
Thanks, guys.
Well, he could be an outstanding forward. I mean, he's been outstanding in multiple positions. He's a brilliant player. He's been an A-grade player for, what is it now, 16 or 17 seasons. It's an incredible player for 2 clubs.
Kennedy was able to withstand the pressure that time. Sees Jones kicking the ball. Clever play by Marchbank to just make sure he stretched and got there, and now the Blues can run it out of defence. Casbolt getting involved. Off to Mullet, deep kick. Curnow versus 2 Hawks. It pitches for Frawley though. Curnow tries to latch on, which he did, but Sicily provided much needed backup. Driving kick for Schoenmakers. Just good enough. Had a hankering to handball. Decided though to turn onto the left boot. A more direct path to goal. Now they can stream forward again. Burton with a crisp kick out wide. Rough head. In fact, it was, I think, Howe who brought it to him, and then short to Piopolo.
And therein lies the difference between the two sides. Carlton got the ball into their forward line, but the blokes didn't force their way up in behind the ball. So when the turnover came, it was just a free run, an open space game of footy to get the ball into Piopolo's hands.
And he used that right-hand goal post as a perfect reference. Drives it to goal and puts it through. And he's had a mixed bag, hasn't he, so far, poor Piopolo. 2 goals, 2.
But the good thing is he's had 4 shots.
Yep.
This is how open it is. If you're going to play the press, and I'm not suggesting Carlton necessarily are, because right now there was no evidence of it, but they went into their forward 50 and they should have been able to lock it in. And yet it just rebounded out so easily.
Tough year for Paul Piopolo last year, but already 7 possessions, as you mentioned, 4 shots at goal. Pleasing to see him in this sort of form if you're a Hawthorn supporter.
Yeah, his pressure was still good last year, but he just looks like
didn't find the ball.
More likely to find the ball, doesn't he?
Carried a few injuries as well.
Back to 10 points then.
Clear the square, please, guys.
By Schmidt, not happy with himself there.
Good, okay, good.
Levi gets a run at it, breaks even better, they win the clearance.
Play on.
And the Hawks strong across defence again. Frawley receives from Duray, takes them out to the wing, and here's Howe again.
Good lesson there for Harry McKay, who was just caught napping when Frawley ran off and received the hand pass. He's got to pay better attention to the defensive duties.
Ball creeps through to Piopolo, clever from Burton, it just didn't quite reach the target of Impey. Plowman in all sorts of trouble. He was locked up.
Oh, a dump tackle.
Wow.
See, this is one of the issues when a player's hanging on to it and he's done a full 360. The player tackling says, well, what do I do? I've got to throw him to the ground because he's not letting go of the ball. How long do I have to hold him for?
What do you think, Jared?
I didn't think it constituted a dump tackle, that particular one.
Great mark.
It was, and the quick kick inside 50 gives Lamb another chance, which he grasped eventually.
And this is where they've looked so dangerous. Now, I'm not sure he can make the distance given what we saw when the Hawthorn players were shooting for goal, particularly from this side of the ground. So they'll take his very, very best kick to make the journey. But they are finding space. They do have good leg speed, and it's the mids and smalls that are creating issues.
So Jed Lamb, 25 years of age now, still hasn't quite reached the 50-game mark. Of course, he played the defensive role on Sicily when these two sides met late in the year last year. Oh, he didn't think he could make it either.
It was actually the right option. It was just poor execution. He had Fisher on a good lead.
Stratton
Let's see if Carlton can apply the same pressure and get another shot at goal. That's better.
Fisher sneaks in. Just couldn't hook it. And it's over the line and out of bounds. There's Curnow with the elevation.
Mark, isn't it? Put the right knee into the left ear of Taylor Duray. Not that.
Plenty of young Carlton supporters with the number 30 on their backs already, and more to come, I suspect, this year. Casbolt palms it down. Last got boot to ball. Gets it out of there only momentarily. Low kick, Simpson, top of the square. And Casbolt, that's what he can do. Drags down the big, strong, contested mark.
It's good judgment in the middle of the pack.
Well, they were better set up, weren't they? They had a couple of opportunities, obviously, to get themselves set up behind the ball.
They always take great intrigue in watching the kicking style and the progress of Levi Casbolt.
He improved his goal accuracy by 17% last year.
That's a huge jump.
Kicked 34 goals, 18. Sav Rocker is back on board with the Blues, and that'll do the job.
It looks good.
Look pure.
And it looked comfortable.
Third in the AFL for contested marks last year, Levi Casbolt.
And this is an opportunity for him. It was a hit out really to nowhere, but he stayed involved in the game simply because he put his head up when Kate Simpson was delivering it to the tough position. And he's one of the most outstanding contested marks in the game at the moment.
Oh, a little celebration there. Not sure what that means, Hutto.
Don't look at me, Jason. (4-5 to 4-1). Sticko told us Hawthorn have what breeze there is in the second term, but Carlton made a pretty positive start to match them on the scoreboard so far. Schoenmakers links up with Howe. The ball just eked out, but he's got a free for in the back. I don't think anyone really was too sure about that.
It was almost a throw.
Cripps has a bit of a whinge about it. You can understand why. Howe sets sail to full forward. Jones will look to spoil, but in the end, Casbolt beat him to it, trying to take a mark. Burgoyne pounces. Burgoyne misses.
He's a dangerous player to have in the goal square, one out, Sean Burgoyne. He's not going to get beaten one-on-one very often.
McKay versus Smith. Duray, but they're outnumbered in the end. Simpson still running and charging, linking with Curnow, and then Lamb has some time. Murphy, and now Fisher had Mullet on the inside. Decides though to go for home. It's going to sit up for Pickett to leap in the air and drag the mark down.
That is just great play from Fisher. I mean, so often in a chain of handball, you can just get sucked into the extra handball and then the extra handball. And the really important decision is working out when to break and take the kick. And he saw the inside corridor was open. He took the space and he delivered it into a very fine spot for his teammate to mark.
Jared Pickett puts Carlton in front.
Well, they continue to look incredibly dangerous. Zach Fisher's been involved in most of the forays forward. He's having a really exciting match at this stage. And they're showing great run now. This is one of the few times they were able to negotiate the pressure, handle it, absorb it, a chain of hand passes, and then he had some decisions to make, Zach Fisher. He didn't want to go wide. He took a bounce and he saw that his man had got over the back and got deep. And the good long kick penetrating gave him the best opportunity to actually mark the ball over the top.
Yeah, that handball option to his...
Still had to be a good mark, Pickett.
Yeah, had a handball option to his right and left, and a short option to Silvani.
Yeah, but they were options that were going to be under pressure when they received the ball. That's why it was such an important decision.
Carlton in front. Casbolt for Cripps, who gets bowled over. Doesn't worry him too much.
And when you consider that Paddy Cripps really hasn't had an impact on this game, it's a strong performance by Carlton to fight back so quickly and to take the lead. This stage, it's kicking into the wind as an advantage, it seems.
Mullet puts it right up into the wind. Fisted away. Mitchell tackled immediately by Plowman, and illegally, apparently.
It was just a tackle.
Looked like it was more side than back, but
yeah. Hot on a couple of them.
Mitchell into the pocket. Roughhead worked under the ball. Jones sees it out.
Who's up? Ben. Carlton! Carlton, right!
Gee, that's very, very tough. Very tough.
Yeah,
Looked a good tackle.
Front.
Casbolt takes the front position.
Doing a mountain of work, Levi Casbolt.
Certainly is. Cripps, he's also toiling hard for Carlton at the start of this quarter, sensing they needed to lift. Flying shot from Gunston.
Okay.
Seen through by Marchbank.
Jarman Impey is getting right inside the space of Patrick Cripps at these stoppages and really making a nuisance of himself and curtailing Cripps' influence. He's doing a good job.
Coming along. 2.
High ball McKay. They fight amongst themselves. Upended Cripps. You hear the gasp from the Carlton fans. They weren't too happy. Mitchell, slick by hand as always. Smith to McAvoy. They stay ahead of the game. Mitchell turns out another. Burton, here's Glass. Low spearing ball. And he did not have to move that time, Impey.
Well, he's had a little bit of the ball kind of Glass, but we're seeing some exciting things. He's drilled a couple of passes, 3 good kicks inside 50, a couple of average ones. He's kicked one out in the full, but he's pinpointed a couple of beautiful passes, and there's another. That is a worm burn.
I'll let you know when.
So Jarman Impey, just 22 years of age. 15 goals, 14 last year. He was originally picked 21.
That's a blood rule thing.
He's off now. Play's just coming.
So he's on his way now. And the goal umpire really did not have to move a muscle. It's a goal to Hawthorn. And they're back in front.
What do you think of him as a recruit from Port Adelaide, Jared? Jarman Impey, what he can offer the Hawks?
I like it. They've got a number of his type who apply pressure in the forward half, can go into the midfield. He's just got pace and he's a good shot. And he's going off the ground as per what seems to be the done thing. Kick a goal, get off.
Let's get down to you, Dicko.
Well, Carlton just look a little bit more organised this quarter. So Bolts might have said, right, cool your jets and get your structures right, because they're clearly outnumbering Hawthorn. And it showed in the Pickett goal we saw before, just their chain of handballs and a little bit more composure and trying to outnumber Hawthorn, especially in transition. So much better start to this quarter.
Whitecross cleanly out of the middle. Wiedering well positioned.
Yeah, the one thing that hasn't worked for Hawthorn is the long high kick into the attacking 50.
McKay having a run in the ruck at the moment.
High tackle.
And that was just a bad kick though going in. He wasn't under enormous pressure, Whitecross. He could have gone sideways. Just getting meterage doesn't help if it's going straight down the throat of the opposition.
So he's going to get a run in the ruck with Cruz's injury. Be interesting to see how he handles it. Carlton showing faith in Daisy Thomas at the end of last year when he was out of contract.
You've got both ruckmen in the wars. So he cops a head clash there. Friendly fire from Jager O'Meara. Also looked like he had a bit of ice on the groin. Claret on the jumper.
Free kick going to Connor Glass.
Coming in for possession, number 11.
Switches on. Frawley waiting for it to arrive. Sicily.
He can kick the ball, all right.
Yep.
Silvani with the intercept mark this time.
Just his second possession. He has struggled to get involved. Maybe that'll be the start.
Thomas chiseled the ball low, and the diving and spinning. Jed Lamb, who got the angry pills again, trying to get inside the head of James Sicily.
Who has a way of getting under the skin of opposition players too, Hutto. Again, is going to test the kicking. He'll kick from around about the 50-metre arc, just into a slight breeze.
Went for the pass last time, Jed Lamb. Kicked 6 goals, 10 in 11 games last year. The former Swan and Giant. This time he's having a shot. Not bad contact. It's going to test that post.
It's stiff.
That distance easily.
Howe marks the kick in. Changed his mind a couple of times, eventually settled on the driving kick down the wing. Tough for O'Meara, but he swoops on it when it mattered. There was more coming for him than he realised.
He got a little bit lucky there. He was about to get pinged the other way, but the contact was a little high.
Oh.
And so was that.
Yeah.
Interesting kick. Yep.
Right. Just goes bang to the top of the square. Curnow. Nullified by Hardwick. It's sitting there, Silvani.
Great touch. That is incredible defence. For all intents and purposes, it looked like it was going to be an easy goal. But a great dive by Brendan Whitecross has saved them 5 points.
Silvani thought he was going to kick it.
They are struggling now.
Yep.
They've upped the ante, the Blues, and it's Hawthorn struggling to get the ball out of their defensive 50. Sparing dive from Brendan Whitecross, just beating the foot of Jack Silvani.
Hawthorn's lead 4. McKay down, Mitchell, instinctive handball O'Meara. 2 big recruits from last year. Whitecross off to Smith, he kicks that high up into the night sky. And Bruce did well, held off Wiedering when it matters. In the middle to either Howe or Henderson. Henderson takes it, keeps going on that angle. Hardwick has to go. He slapped it away. Clever play as it turned out. Had an element of danger about it. Glass, Sicily looked a bit dumbfounded for a moment. Eventually, he finds Puopolo. Then Hardwick.
East-west. Play on.
2 goals, 2 apiece in this quarter. Gee, they've gone for some dangerous kicks into the middle of the ground. This one comes off sort of. O'Meara. That gets interfered with as well. Bruce just eases into the pocket. Sitting there on his own is Ryan Schoenmakers.
You're right, some of those kicks have been suicidal, in fact. They've been lucky to get away with them. Might be the different shades of grey that are confusing the eyesight.
15.
Sounds some good pre-season form. Ryan Schoenmakers holding down a key forward position, contests well, can play the second ruck role. Normally a pretty good kick.
And that one's a behind. 3 goals last week. He kicked against Hawthorn. Schoenmakers down to Ben Dixon.
Well, Carlton will turn the tables on Hawthorn. In the first quarter, Hawthorn had 32 tackles, and Hawthorn this quarter, 3. So Carlton have had a lot more possession, so you think the Hawks will be just trying to tackle as much as they possibly can, but they can't get near them at the moment.
Burgoyne. They couldn't get near him as he snaps for goal. The Blues have only laid 1 tackle. As Dicko said, they've had control of the play to a large degree.
I suspect they'll get a burst at half-time, the Hawks, after being so good defensively in the first quarter, to completely drop away off what actually put them in a really strong position. Would not please the boss.
The Curnows were both involved in that. Whitecross, a handball, an opening for Wright with determination. Tapped it, picked it up, sent it forward for Lamb versus Frawley. Frawley went with the push. Lamb tried to keep his feet. It was a good battle.
Yeah, I think Alistair Clark should be looking just to kick up in intensity around the ball. He couldn't have been more pleased in the first quarter. They were at 100%, but it has dropped off, and Carlton have taken the mantle in that area.
Low down tap taken by Curnow. Ed Curnow, top of the square. Is that a shove? Kennedy. Advantage. Silvani will take that.
I mean, for a bloke who's improved in his game, that's a dumb mistake from James Sicily. You've got to get better than that.
It's become really interesting, the advantage rule too, because the players forward of the ball now have to continue to play until the umpire actually brings it back. Because you'll find here that the Hawthorn player, and it might be Ryan Burton, just stops because he's heard the whistle. He knows it's a free kick. He stops because he's heard the whistle.
Yep.
And Silvani plays on. So players are going to hear the whistle and still actually have to play on if you're behind the ball as a defender or forward of the ball as a forward.
I think on a world scene, we're the only competition that blows the whistle when advantage is paid. Everybody else has a referee or an umpire that
Waves
just
the arm.
raises his arm.
Yep.
And we are trained from 6 years of age to stop on the whistle. It is a difficult one.
The problem is you keep playing as a team that it's paid against you, and if you actually dispose of it, you get a 50.
Yep, so it is difficult.
Fisher again getting down low.
He's got great peripheral vision, Fisher, and you've seen it on display a number of times tonight.
Byrne getting involved as well. Cripps back out to Simpson.
We liked what we saw in round 1 of JLT, Jared, when they got hold of the Saints.
Yep.
See, they're backing it up tonight, the Blues.
Paddy Dow hitting Casbolt on the chest with a run from behind. Kennedy hit that hard. Umpire just said, keep going, boys.
I agree, Jason. I think they, as I said earlier, they were the side that outperformed expectation the most in JLT. And right now, with this little mini fight back, they're showing that it wasn't a one-off. It's real, and they're a side on the march.
30-metre handball from Smith to Piopolo. Into the pocket. A patched up McAvoy. Deft kick needed on the bounce. Burgoyne slides one way, then the other. Instant snap from Gunston is a goal.
Made hard work of it in the end. They had numbers over. Just lacking a little composure at times and not always selecting the right option. And I know McAvoy tried to come back into the corridor to make it a better quality set shot. But even this kick from Piopolo dragged him too deep into the pocket.
Dustin Martin is probably the hardest player in the competition to tackle, but Sean Burgoyne's got to be close.
Yep.
He has got so many good moves inside that you rarely see him get pinged. And he doesn't generally fend off. He does it with the footwork.
Here we go, boys. Set up. Here we go.
So the Hawks back in front. Marginally outscored Carlton in this quarter. Both teams with 3 goals, though. McAvoy gets taken down. You could almost hear the thud. Good follow-up from Isaac Smith. Poked it inside, and the sliding and clever Jack Gunston.
Read it beautifully. It was a nice kick off the ground. Dangerous area. Bit of a random ball, but Jack Gunston just read it best. Here it is, and Isaac Smith sees a nice little toe poke.
It was very, very good. Good soccer skills, wasn't there? But you know what? Any good forward worth his salt
is in front.
Knows that he's taking that step in front when there's a chance of a quick kick coming your way.
19 goals, 11 last year. Jack Gunston played forward for the first 15 rounds. And then ended up going back. Clarko redeploying so many of his players last year.
They found it a bit easy to get touches down back where the ball was all the time rather than up forward.
Bring it in. Yours.
High ball for Casbolt again. Stratton made sure it wasn't going any further.
Play on. Kick.
Tight ball to be won in there. Thomas, shrug of the shoulders, couldn't get it cleanly out of there. Nice little touch just to get it out from Impey. And then Jones tries to track it back all the way to goal.
Interested in this kick-out setup. Kate Simpson had the ball last time, and he had a teammate, Jones. In fact, Jones is going to take it, but Jones was only 6 or 7 metres over the player on the mark's head. You can see this is the way they're going to set up. They've got one there as well, ready to either receive a handball or to shepherd if in fact he gets into trouble.
And that's the kick that any team's happy to concede.
Yep.
Kick tight into the pocket really means you're probably going to force a kick down the line to a contest.
And you see that all the eggs are in the contested high ball. Charlie Curnow doesn't get it. Now they're resetting and trying to defend. That's a poor kick.
Scrappy kicks going on.
Curnow's biggest problem in taking a mark at the moment is Levi Casbolt. He keeps flying against him. Here's Glass with the kick into the 50. Oh, thump. That time it was Ruffhead that felt it from Mullet. Good hands from Thomas. Allows Wright to kick. Just a bit too strong for Charlie that time. Hardwick with the gather. And the wobbling low kick. Oh, a bit of confusion amongst the Blues. Cripps for Kennedy and then Wright. He's really got into the game in this quarter. Keeps it low for Curnow. Kept on presenting. Wright's had 5 disposals this term for the Blues. We've stayed in the game despite being the Hawks having a lot more possessions in this quarter. 82 disposals to 51.
Another grubber.
This is really, really poor and should get punished.
Hawthorn's kicking efficiency this quarter just 56% compared to Carlton 71.
And Blake Hardwick's had 3 or 4 kicks that have grubbed along the ground, completely missed the target. He's normally a pretty good kick. So there's a few players falling into the same trap, just not taking the care, not executing perfectly, and they continue to turn it over.
Hawthorn have had 32 more marks than Carlton for the night.
And with all due respect to the Blues, who are an improving team coming from bottom of the table, if Hawthorn was playing one of the top teams tonight, they would have been punished a lot more severely for some of these dreadful kicks. And this is the team that was last year rated the #1 kicking team in the competition.
Margin is 8 as the Hawks eventually find a way out. Burton to Smith, and then some indecision. Impey, a bit of that kickstart running and then driving to half forward. Jones built it. That spelled trouble because there was Hawks lurking. Mitchell, and they're all in the interior. Schoenmakers to Gunston. One more should do it. Henderson puts it through from the top of the square. A couple of Blues from the Blues prove costly.
Well, they're just basic errors. We've seen them for both clubs. That's what JLTs are about, getting them out of the system, hopefully.
They're getting them all out of the system in the second quarter. It's turned into a very messy game, hasn't it?
I mean, that's just a basic chess mark. Liam Jones, you'd be pleased that is not going to cost him in the regular home and away season.
So we get back down to Ben Dixon.
Well, you think the Hawks might be affected by the dew or a slippery ball or anything, but it's 20 degrees down here, 67% humidity. It's perfect conditions, so no excuses. I think it's just the Carlton pressure and the perceived pressure on the player or the target for Hawthorn. So they're playing pretty well, but they're obviously down on the scoreboard here, Carlton.
They are, but they've been their own worst enemy. They've generated a lot more shots, 18 shots to 9, and that doesn't count the ones that should have gone through or should have been set up that have been turned over.
Bit of a surge for the Hawks at the moment.
Oh, wow.
To Howe against Bird.
He was just standing there and Howe tried to work him under the footy. That's just a play on call for mine.
Bit of dancing at the top of the square from Schoenmakers. Oh, the kick splayed off. Well, that obviously wasn't the intention.
He tried to kick off one step. He tried to kick it a little across the body, and it's just sliced off the outside of the boot. But
most of the kicks that have been really poor
haven't been under that much pressure, Jerry.
They haven't been kicking through the ball. It has all been the swinging foot across the ball.
Too much finesse.
Just joined us, Matthew Cruiser left the field in the first quarter with an ankle injury. He's not going to get back out there. We're hoping it's not too serious. Carlton taking no chances. Burton screws it back to full forward. Jones with Wiedering as they scramble. Plowman. They had trouble stopping Burgoyne.
Just taken by the ankle, maybe Burgoyne. He is causing all sorts of trouble at ground level because he just reads the ball so well. Always gets on the ball. He doesn't fumble. He dragged the loose ball out there, and then quick as a flash he was up looking to handball it out and just got grabbed by the ankle. Now it's one of those that doesn't always get called, but the umpire saw it, gets the shot at goal.
He has still got incredible agility and speed. He was captain of the Australian side in international rules, and
he's kicked 3 behinds. 0-3.
It can only get better from here.
Or can it?
He's one of the most beautiful kicks on the run you've ever seen. But it happens to a lot of good kicks when they see the white sticks and they have time to sit there, stand there and think about it. It changes the way you kick.
In his first year, he kicked 24 goals in 17 games for Port Adelaide. In his second season, he kicked some 39 goals as a forward.
And you just saw why that setup is there. You saw Zach Jones shepherding. Not Zach Jones, Liam Jones shepherding for Kate Simpson when he elected to play on.
Hardwick over Howe's head. Plowman had support inside, needed it too. Simpson back to Plowman. Some danger again in the internal kick. Has to follow it up and try and clean up his act.
He was clever there, Brendan Whitecross. He wasn't going to get to the ball first, so he just backed off, waited for Simpson to pick up the ball and effected a good tackle.
So twice Sean Burgoyne kicked 39 goals in a season for Port Adelaide. So if that is going to be the move from Hawthorn, it could be quite a potent one at the back end of his career.
Well, I think until Sirioli comes back, you need to get some balance and some extra avenues to goal.
Hawks just putting the foot down late in the second quarter. They lead by 15 points. Simpson over it. Now up. He's still got it. Oh, gave some advantage to the player playing the footy. Oh, that's going to be a free kick to Plowman. Last 30 seconds of the first half.
Got the outlet player, but he's looking for the corridor, and good defence by Hawthorn. They've forced them back.
Pin back was Byrne, and now Wiedering. Carlton is going to see off time here if they can. Plowman, danger, danger! And Impey to try and put it through and stretch the margin to 21 right on half-time. And again, the old lucky it's in the JLT.
That's true, but they were forced back when the first option to go wide.
Byrne should have kicked straight across to the other flank.
It was a good kick too.
Hesitated, it dried up and then had to go back to the back pocket. And that allowed Hawthorn to close in.
And this will top off a pretty good first half from Jarman Impey.
His 12th disposal, already has a goal. So he's just mentally trying to put himself in the right space to execute the 50-metre shot for goal. And he's got it all pretty well right, and his teammates getting around him. And the Hawks lead by 21 points at half-time.
Well, they really did drop off Carlton after about the first 20 minutes of that term. They were quite dominant in the first part of the second term. They had control of the scoreboard, and then they just fell away. Hawthorn lifted and reacted to their intensity, and then they just found a way.
Coach, it could be a great insight for Bolt and obviously Sam to be involved throughout the season. So some pluses there and a minus tonight with Matty Cruiser.
We saw Brendan Bolton having a direct conversation with Mark Murphy. We're not sure what it was about. He's had 7 possessions. He would be clearly, it may well have been a team discussion rather than a personal discussion. That said, Mark Murphy would like a few more touches just at the moment.
And quiet second term from the skipper. Mitchell are forced backwards though, and Thomas made the steal. And McKay sends him quite wide.
Stay right out.
Little lift out of McKay as well. If he's going to be part of the side in 2 weeks' time, he's got to find some football.
Oh, Marchbank's kick. Curnow was eyeing it off. Silvani.
Touch play on.
Ed Curnow, top of the square. Pickett knows one way, straight ahead, bang.
It's been their strength tonight, the ground level speed, Pickett and Fisher. And he made a goal out of nothing there. He was outnumbered. There were actually a couple of Hawthorn players there you thought would mop it up, and he just ducked in the middle of 3 of them. Too quick, too clean. Terrific opportunist goal.
So they've come out with purpose at the start of this third term. Marchbank playing up on the wing at the start of this quarter, which is interesting.
We're so used to seeing him as an intercept defender, aren't we? But maybe there's another string to his bow.
Well, they do have a pretty tall defence, don't they? With Wiedering down there and Plowman as well.
Alongside Liam Jones.
And Liam Jones. So it's going to be interesting to see how they approach that in the regular season.
Looks like Petrevski's eaten out there for the first time.
Yeah, as we said, the Blues with some extra players as they're allowed to by the AFL. It's just a question of how you manage them. Obviously no Cruiser. I think Cunningham probably came into the action a little earlier than they planned. The kick goes wide to half forward.
Now, if he palms it onwards like that, I totally agree with you.
Those two tangling again. No love lost between Lamb and Sicily. So you can see it pretty heavily populated by Hawthorn jumpers. Good spring from McKay. Took it to the front of the pack. Bruce had to wade back through. Umpire gave him the benefit of the doubt. Silvani.
Well, he needs the benefit of the doubt, otherwise why pick the ball up? And when you pick the ball up in and amongst 18 players, you've got to be given time to dispose of it.
And they've been reasonably consistent at giving the players time tonight.
O'Meara impressive there. And the play only getting better until the handball, which wasn't great for Impey. Lamb had him tied up, and he keeps going on with it over the line. Enjoying a little bit of extras.
Okay, thanks, Harry. Ben.
Jager O'Meara's had 14 possessions, just 5 kicks. Prior to his knee injuries, he was a brilliant kick. He's playing a really strong inside game at the present time, but you would just like to see him get outside and use his foot skills again, because he's potentially more damaging in that role.
Side by side with Patrick Cripps at the moment.
Thank you, mate. Ben, Harry.
Kay took front position, did it pretty well. Get it to ground though. Bruce. Curnow in there. Cripps, Curnow. Here's Petreski-Seaton. Just went without the footy. The move was impressive, just didn't take the Sharon with him. Here's O'Meara getting in the link. And the chaining up there with Mitchell.
Well, he was looking for something, but there was nothing. So really, it was just
barrel in the end.
Just a long ball to space and try and push everybody up and lock it in there.
He got it as deep as he could. It's not easy to kick a long torpedo on the running flat stick.
Leadering for Curnow.
Stay behind. Play on. You. Play on.
Duray came late. Made it tough for Marchbank. Puopolo. Brilliant. And gets it back from Burgoyne. Petreski-Seaton matched him, but not for long enough. Oh, Bruce had it spent. Now Impey trying to find that right boot, and when he did, he knew exactly what to do with it. And the Hawks have the skills in front of the sticks.
He's been very, very good, Jarman Impey, but gee, to let off for Luke Bruce. He couldn't believe how good the kick was, and he just relaxed, thought it was a fait accompli that he takes the mark, goes back and has a set shot, dropped the easiest of marks, then slipped over as he was trying to recover and evade. I mean, the kick after spinning around was absolutely brilliant.
Thanks, mate.
Do you think that Marchbank should have taken the ball over on centre wing? They looked to be outnumbered at the time. He had hands on it, so it's a tough choice. Let's have a look at this little celebration.
Be careful with that.
Yeah. Silly thing to do. I mean, it's in very low impact, but it's a silly thing to do.
Casbolt, Howe. Out of there by Wright. Burton meets it head on. Good spin from Kennedy to retain possession. Sharp hands from Wright as well. This is Cunningham bursting through the circles. Low ball. Hawks have an extra number at the back. Stratton waiting patiently. There's his moment. Curnow, though, coming in as well. Make it more difficult. Silvani lost it as soon as he had it. Morrison, Stratton, met by Simpson. Gone.
Holding the ball. Hawthorn. Straight up, straight up.
We got the whistle that time.
Cool.
Because he
avoided the first
one.
Yep.
Yeah. The trigger. Morrison found a bit of extra space by going back and then sideways. Duray.
Move it up. Play on. You.
Margin 21 for the Hawks. Back to the wing.
Play on.
Gunston knew someone was coming, and that someone was Casbolt. Pickett, pretty dynamic, gets it off to Murphy. Low ball into the 50. Nothing there for Carlton. Howe avoids Curnow. Kick the centre half back. Here's Bruce using the left boot. Didn't quite make it over the head of the tall wingman Marchbank. Driving kick back towards Silvani, but Stratton had him exactly where he wanted to.
And Silvani slightly frustrated because he had the front position and the kick didn't do any favours whatsoever.
Kicker was Wietering. Now Sicily. Good deep ball for Burton. Gets a touch of the fumbles. And then kicks solidly to Gunston. Had a man in hand, and that man is Henderson, striding out across the 50 with a couple of bounces. Goes for the centre, and well placed for Rufford. They cannot take a mark, Hawthorn, at the moment. It maybe is getting a bit greasy now. We'll check with Dicko. Glass. Tiniest of kicks. Marchbank again. More usual domain back in defence. Lamb. High ball to the wing. Silvani engaging with Stratton. Maybe a little lucky not to give away the free. He goes for the big talk to try and clear and get it all the way down for Pickett. Almost hit him on the head. Over the top, Hardwick went to ground. Danger is still there. Fisher to Curnow. One more handball. And it should be a goal to Mullet. And it is.
Well, they worked hard for it, Jason, but it was really only possible because of an outstanding 60-metre on the run talk.
And just before that, I love the decision and the communication from the umpire. We see the regulation mark just grasped there, and they made an absolute hash of it. But Stratton played in front, played for the free kick, and you heard the umpire say, no, you locked arms with him from in front. So he allowed the play on call. And again, we spoke about that torpedo kick on the run, which was to a one-on-one contest. Finally got the ball over the top, and then they get these quicks that run in and they outnumber the Hawthorn defenders. So a relatively easy goal in the end.
Margin reduced to 15. Stratton giving Silvani a hard time of it, but crucial play there for Carlton. Casbolt getting the hit down. Kennedy sees them to half forward again. Now Frawley on the job, gets pushed over. Handball from Thomas, speculated. Look at that from O'Meara. That's a bit more dynamic.
That was brilliant.
Whitecross with the long kick. Watch out, Marchbank. Did well. Able to shake off Diopolo. Jones goes all the way back to Wiedering.
That had to be a good kick.
Got some reward in the end. Byrne had to just change path a fraction, which might just slow them down. Mullet.
He looks impressive, Byrne. He's got terrific pace. He's come back from his knee issue really well, it seems.
Couldn't get the socks pulled up much higher.
Move it on, play on. Play on.
Down the line for Fisher. Mullet with the backup. Now they can go through Silvani.
Good kick.
Casbolt takes it and turns. Tresky Seaton deep, but he went short to Cripps. Duray had him locked away. Got the handball though right. Good instincts around the sticks. Curnow stays down. Thomas went to ground. And Curnow did well. Knew exactly where to wait.
Yeah, he read that particularly well, and Thomas did a good job bringing the ball to ground to set up what was an easy soccer goal.
Not very good in the back part of the ground. The Hawks are getting numbers back. So a number of times they've either been even, and that's the great decision before, where the umpire said Stratton locked his arms from in front, which was very, very good. And there's the great torpedo kick. But a number of times there's been more Carlton forwards than Hawthorn defenders deep around goal, and that's where they're getting caught out.
This is a good move from Jager O'Meara.
Backs in the circle.
One ball well, got out of traffic, pretty difficult, and the response by the Blues. Paddy Cripps gets the right, and they got the job done.
Burgoyne, look at that.
If in doubt, send Sean Burgoyne into the middle.
And he'll get you forward. Ruffhead this time, no. Couldn't close the deal with the mark. Plowman fully committed.
Looked to have a lot of aerial explosion. Jared Ruffhead didn't get very high off the ground.
One here.
Got great prowess at ground level though, hasn't he still? He's been a hallmark of his game.
Well, someone got one in the eye.
Henderson gets ball to boot.
Well, they've been very wasteful in front of goal. It's 9-13 to 9-3. That's the 10-point margin. 10 behind.
Simpson took the 10 metres on offer and then drilled the pass.
Another drop ball.
Marchbank this time. Ball jars loose. Bruce had Henderson. Oh, went over his head and didn't go far enough to the next potential target in Isaac Smith. And instead it's Carlton coming out this side through Thomas. Casbolt covering plenty of territory.
Paddy Cripps working hard in defence, gets the ball, kicks it and then charges through the middle of the ground. And they're looking for this inside kick, which is exciting, but you've got to accept that they're going to, in the early years, turn it over a number of times.
Yeah, not great service from O'Meara to Schoenmakers. They'll get another crack at it. Howe got collected, and it's downfield, so it's going to be a free to Luke Bruce, I think, here.
Still covering up some horrendous kicks here,
Yep.
Jared.
Yeah, he's lucky to get the free kick because it was another dribbler.
Kicking efficiency this quarter, 61% Hawthorn, 77 Carlton. Blues have kicked 3 goals to 1 up until now. Luke Bruce steps forward. Pops it through. And their edge restored the lead back to 16.
Been a terrific play for Hawthorn for many years now, Luke Bruce. And there's the dribbler, so it was going nowhere. Lucky to get the free kick.
Let's get to Ben Dixon. What have you observed match style? Dicko?
Oh, and I think the use of the ground now, Carlton are really starting to click. So they're trying to switch it. And like Jared said, they're looking for that inside kick, but they're just not nailing it at the moment. So the turnover city is obviously going to result in a goal the other way, but at least they're trying it.
The old turnover city. 10-13 to 9-3. Margin 16. Flashing through Simpson. Piopolo sends it end on end inside 50. Burgoyne was lurking. Jones saw him off. Now it hits the ground. Henderson, time to get under the right boot, and bang, the Hawks will put a couple on the board in no time at all.
Yeah, good service out of the middle. And that was the vital punch, the one from Burgoyne. It just, he crunched it, and fortunately it went straight to McAvoy. It's been a good pick-up, Henderson, for Hawthorn.
Well, for a player that costs nothing, he can play a variety of roles. A good utility, tall, can run, long kick of the footy.
Yep.
Produced similar numbers to his last couple of seasons at Adelaide, averaging 21 disposals last year. As he said, used it well. Winning the ball on the outside primarily. Ricky Henderson. So 3 goals each in this quarter. 22 points the difference now. Match high for the Hawks. Inch by inch for the Blues. Murphy via the fist has a second crack, surrounded by Hawks. Well done, Fisher. Opportunity for Marchbank perhaps. Hardwick head over the ball. Ed Curnow was able to hook it back. Murphy again hopeful with the handball. Marchbank. Frawley got through and then just rammed it on the boot. Schoenmakers. Good fight from the Blues, but crucial handball from Gunston back to Schoenmakers. Wiedering, rough head, good timing with the fist, or Burgoyne. And I think that's a fair call.
Likely to cause injury.
Just clipped the fingertips too. I don't think the umpire was going to pay it until he saw Wiedering actually flicking the finger saying, ow, that hurt.
Ed Curnow. Wiedering keeps on coming. Lamb. And so he had the thought of that kick into the middle. Didn't take it. Can't pay that, can you?
Oh, he has paid the mark. Caught on the wrong side.
Thomas goes short. Along the line, Cripps. Now Murphy. All the Carlton players were boundary side. He goes long to full forward instead. Almost for Dow. Right. Or Petrevski-Seaton. It sat there, and the Hawthorn players look at each other and said, how did you not touch that? And Wright just has a way around goals. He's put it through. Last year he kicked 30 goals, 12. And in 2016, he actually kicked less goals, but won their goal kicking.
Jason, can you tell me what happened on the goal line here?
You tell me. The number of times they've been caught out not having an offensive sweeper to start with. Piopolo just missed the footy. Burton thought he was going to rush it. He's missed it. And then he stands up and goes, Poppy, come on, mate. I mean, he had to get something on it. Regulation rush behind that one, costing the goal. The good thing from a Carlton perspective is the persistence. They continue to stick at it, hanging in there, giving themselves a chance. And that's all Brendan Bolton wants, is a 4-quarter effort. The difference between the good teams and the bottom teams is good teams do it for 4 quarters, the bottom teams do it for a half or for 3 quarters. The longer you do it, the better you get.
I think it'd be you'd be a pretty harsh Carlton supporter not to be impressed with what you've seen over the first couple of weeks of the JLT.
They've dominated the contested possession in this quarter, 26-17. Hawks have hurt them on the outside at times, but Carlton surging again. Murphy for Dow, turns quickly. Silvani went for the little kick towards him, and he might get a free here.
I mean, clearly there's a lot of things that need to improve, but they've made some giant strides over the summer period. You can see youngsters getting better. You can see that they're now looking to attack far more than last year. And there's some exciting times over the next few years for Carlton if they can continue to find good young talent at the draft and build on what they've got.
A little sloppy from Tom Mitchell. Doesn't find a lot of the ball, Jack Silvani, but normally a very good ball user.
1917 last year, one of 5 Blues to earn a Rising Star nomination. He's put it through, and Carlton keep coming. Back to 10 points. More green shoots for Brendan Bolton. And they have the space age back pockets as well, Jason.
Well, at some stage, I mean, from a Carlton perspective as well, you've got to say, let's stop talking about the shoots, and they've got to have grown into something. And we've actually got to start getting a return, because the patience does wear thin after a number of seasons. So I think we're starting to see some of it come to fruition, but there's still a way off.
Talk about the shorts, not the shoots.
So as a gardener, Jason, by this time, after planting the seeds, you want some growth by now.
No, I'm not a great green thumb. I don't.
Surprises me, that. 10 points the difference. Mitchell out of the middle. Bombs it to half forward. Byrne continues to be a thorn in their side and giving Carlton some runs. Simpson, good jaggle from Kennedy. 79-69. The former Giant, Matt Kennedy, high ball.
There he
in
is.
the Casbolt direction.
The question is, why does Kennedy continually look sideways when you've got a Kennedy forward of the ball? Surely you look forward of the ball and you just use your ears to know that there's people coming alongside of you. But get your vision long.
Such a good contested mark, isn't he, Levi Casbolt? And that mark deserves a goal. Kicked one earlier in the match, which was a beautiful set shot. He's looking more and more relaxed and more natural every time he kicks.
Oh dear, what's going to come now?
Give a bloke a rap.
All clear.
That still does look a much more relaxed style.
Yeah, in the past, that would have been out on the full, but he got it behind.
There's no doubt he's improved. It's a credit to him if he can improve it another 17% this year.
Smith to Mitchell to Impey, and the Hawks bolt off half-back. Isaac Smith, the carrier. A couple of bounces confronted by Jones. Over the top to Gunston. Around the corner, that could have been executed a little better. Maybe the decision itself was at fault. Simpson to Byrne. Back pedal. There's a Hawk injured. Might be Piopolo.
Yep, he's going to come off.
Byrne. Needs to lay it quickly. He did. Unfortunately for him, straight to Sisley. There wasn't as much impact in this quarter. Just the 2 disposals. Let's get to Ben Dixon.
You can see Paul Piopolo's just come off the ground. He's got a leg injury. He's with Bart, the physio, at the moment. So I'll keep you updated on what it is. I haven't quite seen the extent or where exactly on the leg, so I'll keep you updated.
Thanks, Dicko.
Oh, that was ordinary.
Henderson. Petreski-Seaton.
Yes, he gets Caleb Marchbank out of trouble there.
Yeah.
Plowman, one handball too many, maybe. Fist from Murphy. And now the Hawks with the mullets combining of Stratton and Hardwick.
See, there's been a lot of fumbling from the Hawks when they've had the ball under control and under no pressure.
We talked a lot about Carlton in terms of their progress. What about Hawthorn? Is tonight told you anything? Let's just hold those thoughts, because Cripps has got them moving on the break. Cunningham. Hardwick fights back, but the handball errant. Frawley versus Cripps versus Curnow. Shakes off the first bit of contact. Gets the handball to Lamb. Another gift to Murphy. They've reached the 50. Simpson screaming for it 20 metres out from goal. And he let Daisy Thomas take the mark. And the Blues can get within 3 points.
The back six looks very, very different for Hawthorn when there's no Luke Hodge marshalling the troops.
15.
Birchall to return in that area.
Yeah, he could be a while. Not sure when he'll be back, but
Well, you can always put Sean Burgoyne back down there.
you can, but it's hard to replace a general like Hodge, and I think it's noticeable with the back six.
Liam Shields and Rioli, the other two, not there tonight, but having the best 22. Beautiful kick from Daisy Thomas. And they are back within 3 points after kicking the last 3 goals, the Blues.
Well, they fought back pretty hard and they've got themselves right back into the match. And they just had more weight of numbers. You can see Silvani pointing long, but Murphy made up his own mind. He was going wide. Simpson actually read it best. Ben Dixon.
Yeah, the Paul Teopolo injury, you can see he's just rubbing his right leg there. It was a kick to the lower leg. You'll see in the vision here. Just a kick there, pretty innocuous, but enough to send him off the field. He's jogged up and down. He should come back on the field. But as you can see there, the old knee to the knee, Jared.
Yep, knee to that tib-fib joint just on the outside of the knee where the nerves are pretty close there. Wouldn't be surprised if he got a little bit of a crack on that really sensitive area.
It's been a good third quarter from the Blues. They've fought back from a 21-point deficit at half-time. And they're every chance of taking a lead into the final quarter.
5.5 to go until that last change. Mitchell. Short for Duray. Carlton have kicked 6 goals to 3 in this quarter. Maybe they'll reach that 100-point mark tonight, Carlton. Plowman getting more nervous as it gets closer to goal. Burgoyne kept his feet, ran all the way, got to the line. It's still not over. Smith, Bruce. They've got him. That was pretty harsh.
Holding the ball.
How did they keep this ball alive? It didn't get rushed. It didn't get kicked through for a score.
So Bruce picks it up, tried to break the tackle, but really, that cannot be held.
Instantaneous tackle.
Yeah.
Reflex.
All you're trying to do is get yourself an ability to get rid of the ball.
Yeah.
And there's a really big flaw in the interpretation of prior opportunity.
Well, even the concept of trying to break the tackle, I mean, that, of course you're going to try and break the tackle if someone's tackling you. I'm not sure how that actually determines that you've had prior opportunity.
Yeah,
It's an instant tackle. Kick goes to full forward, floating in from the side, Curnow. Hurried snap from Isaac Smith, and I think it might have got there.
One thing that is noticeable, Jared, they've lacked an aerial presence up forward, the Hawks. Every time there's a long kick come in, it's either been easily spoiled or it looks like an opportunity for an intercept mark. And even there, it was Curnow that nearly took the intercept mark. We've seen Roughhead a couple of times. Yep. Hasn't had the spring in his legs to actually jump over the top of a pack or crash a pack. They don't really have another big forward operating there. At times, they get that from show and makers, but they don't take many contested marks. It's all about hitting the uncontested marks.
They left O'Brien out of the team tonight. Who, I mean,
he's been playing down back a bit too, considering his learning curve.
You're right, it's the learning curve. But he can take a contested mark.
He definitely can.
He can also go into the ruck.
9 points the margin. Showmakers is there at the moment against Casbolt. Kennedy doing what he does best, bulk around the contest. Casbolt doing a lot more running than he thought he was going to have to tonight. Mullet tackled instantly by Mitchell. The Hawks get in each other's way. Powering out the handball, O'Meara. Showmaker runs straight into Silvani. Did pretty well to dispose of it at all, O'Meara. You can hear the umpire, play on, play on. Silvani did just that. Sicily captured straight away. Well done, Thomas. Fisher, live wire.
Contact below the knee.
Scrappy passage of play, but Roughhead dived at the ball on the ground and didn't get there.
Right out now, Jagger.
And took the legs of Matty Kennedy, who'll get an opportunity now to kick the goal. And it's the only decision the umpire can pay there. Saw the fumble from Sicily at time, but if you fumble at ground level, you get closed down.
Don't think he made contact. Well,
Little costume alteration. For Kennedy, he kicks dead straight.
all clear.
Pretty happy too. Could be a very handy recruit for the Blues. Bit of love amongst the Carlton boys. It's back to 3 points.
Well, they've been more than competitive, the Blues. Carlton have been on the receiving end of a couple of free kicks in and around goal, that being one of them, but you've still got to make them pay, and he's certainly done that.
Beautiful kick.
They've been their own worst enemy, Hawthorn. 25 scoring shots to 17. If we just look at what's on the scoreboard, they're in this game basically because Hawthorn haven't done the job when they've had the opportunity.
In contrast, Carlton 13 goals, 4. Casbolt climbed the highest, got the tap down. Dow was spun around and didn't quite get the target. Burgoyne was getting closer to ground as he went, so he handballed it, coughed it up. Mullet swinging the hands through the middle. Bird, full head of steam. Look at him go. Big, deep kick forward. Petreski-Seaton, not the mark, but he got the handball to Cripps. There's a Hawk injured as it goes to ground. Fisher tries to sidestep his way through. Now Burno through there.
That's a throw.
He might have used the fist.
Some extraordinary stuff going on. It was Dre was the Hawthorn player down.
Burgoyne got it back to the middle. Carlton just able to ease the pressure through Plowman.
Stay behind him.
Now O'Brien, who's on the ground. Lucky O'Brien kicks to half forward. Frawley has a tangle with Daisy Thomas.
Taylor Duray is the man in question. Copped a bit of friendly fire from behind.
Okay, step back, guys. We'll cut up. Leave our right. Thank you. Hang on.
Burgoyne in tight with Mitchell. Watch out, Ricky. Handball from Murphy to Dow. Mitchell sprays this one.
Feeling the pressure. Hawthorn's been very good from Carlton the last 10 minutes of this third term. They have really upped the ante.
Okay, right there. How many times?
Hawthorn got out to a 22-point advantage. And then Carlton, 4 of the last 5 goals since then. Depth on the kick. There's some interference. It's a Carlton ball.
That's just a bit of nerves, I think, from Hawthorn. Nervous backline. Just
50
taking
metres.
out.
50 metres being paid.
Sicily, again, maybe just losing his cool a fraction.
And Hawthorn had all the numbers where that ball was kicked, and yet no one attacked the footy.
Thomas puts it through with no one on the mark. And Carlton are in front.
It's added a bit of spice to it, Jared.
Yes, it has, Jason.
We love it.
I don't think there'll be too many Carlton supporters disappointed with the gains they've made over summer. And there is James Sicily getting involved where perhaps he shouldn't.
But the silly thing is, James Sicily's got to be smart enough to know that every opposition player now knows he gets sucked in. So if he makes minimal contact, they're going to go to ground.
Yeah.
The umpire's going to see it, the umpire's going to pay it. It's dumb if you do it.
No, I thought there was forceful enough. Yeah,
You've got to be smarter than that.
Last minute and a half of the third quarter. Again, Casbolt has his way in the middle, although Schoenmakers fought the fight. Kennedy, Howe was trying to get it to Whitecross. Relatively successful. Greasy ball, tough one to control and contain. But Kennedy shows them how and then promptly gives it straight to Bruce, who kicks it down the throat of Liam Jones.
Horrible kick in.
O'Brien puts the foot out. Toby Green style. Wiedering. Back to O'Brien. Slung and drops the ball.
You're one of the best tacklers in the side, Sean Burgoyne.
He's due for a shot at goal that goes through, Jason.
He's kicked a hose to behind. 0 goals, 4 he has to his name. And this is probably the toughest kick that he's had.
So he's a certainty. Been a high-scoring quarter. Certainly Carlton have kicked 8 goals to 4 for the quarter. Burgoyne, no, it's going to be another miss.
Saving it for the last term.
When was the last time Carlton kicked 8 goals in a quarter?
When?
I said, I wonder.
Don't ask questions you don't know the answer to.
We'll get it for you shortly.
When was the last time Sean Burgoyne kicked 0 goals 5? I would suggest never. Was it touched?
Who's up? Hawthorn. Ryan.
So Carlton with an 8 goal to 4 third quarter. They've got the advantage heading into the last quarter.
Block, Hawthorn.
Some inspired footy in that quarter from the Blues. Still a full this weekend. All the matches are full length. So your point about being able to stay the journey is a real one. Mitchell leads the way with 25 disposals on the ground, continuing his incredible ball-winning ability. 35 disposals a game last year, Tom Mitchell. Starts in the middle against Kennedy as McAvoy takes up the battle with the big boys against Casbolt. And here's O'Meara with a kick out wide. Seeing the Hawks have brought Oliver Hanrahan on in the 41 as Schoenmakers takes them inside 50. Jones playing in front of Roughhead with good effect.
Well, it was one of the great stories of the second half of last year. And if he can put a season together in defence like he did in the second half last year, he's going to be vying for All-Australian honours.
Cam O'Shea out there for the first time. Of course, former Port Adelaide player who went to the Northern Blues last year. Made the VFL Team of the Year. Won the Northern Blues Best and Fairest. And he's been rewarded for that, which is great. Another chance at AFL level.
What they did eradicate in that third term, Carlton, was the turnover ball, kicking the ball inside, back inside the corridor. And if they're going to go on and win this, they've got to make sure they don't fluff their lines doing that again.
Cripps went for the longer of the two options he had there. And that just gave the time for Burton to whip across and spoil it.
Been reasonably quiet tonight, Ryan Burton. Just the 8 possessions.
He had a good first quarter and then he's faded right away.
Still a young player that's obviously developing, but we've seen him pick up sizable numbers.
21 disposals last year. What a season he had. Glass.
He's been impressive, Glass. Good find by the Hawks.
That's you.
Hardwick out onto the wing. Bruce leads Plowman. In fact, Marchbank to the footy and then sends it and keeps it low. Hanrahan takes it just beyond him here. And so it goes short to Gunston.
Good one-on-one, a good old-fashioned one-on-one contest on the wing. And it's incredible just how often, if you can win those one-on-ones, you can get yourself into a position to have a shot at goal.
Or Oliver Hanrahan, the number 41 jumper there, a second-year rookie. Spent last year in Box Hill's development squad. Played consistently, smart forward type.
Some Kevins as well previous to that. Ball goes right across the face. Fisted through. It's back to 1 point the difference now.
Thanks, Sean.
Just been offline tonight, Jack Gunston. He would like to nail a couple.
On the mark.
27 scoring shots to 18. Unusual inaccuracy from the Hawks. Wiedering.
He's had plenty of it, Wiedering.
That's just a shove. That's just a big shove from Burton.
That's it. Hold.
A big Levi. Carried a big load tonight. 10 disposals, 5 marks, and a goal. Stratton in front.
Good strong mark, good hands.
Kennedy couldn't do anything to get in his way.
Thanks, Patrick. Play on, you're out. Play on.
Experienced defender Ben Stratton, 29 years of age, will get his 150th game in round 4, all things being equal. Morrison gets into the danger area.
Interesting kick.
Well,
Really creative.
he saw it. He saw it late
did.
and finessed it off the outside of the boot, and that's not easy to do.
They actually made a blue, Carlton, just at that last stoppage. They had a couple of blokes behind the ball. One of them was Levi, and he didn't work hard enough to block the corridor.
15
gone. Tom.
He was trying to get it there, but I'm not sure.
The connection wasn't exactly.
The connection was what he was looking for.
It couldn't have got there any better, though, could it? It was low and it was straight, just like this kick needs to be. But isn't.
They've been horrible in front of goal. And there's no Ben Dixon down at Hawthorn. He's turned St Kilda's fortunes around. Hawks might need someone.
Let's hope so for his sake anyway.
Stay behind.
Scores a level. Simpson camouflage that kick effectively. Finds Mullet. Frawley, the stepping stone for Cripps. And he's a bit sore too.
He's got the knee in the back.
Got about 95 kilos going through your spine there. Wouldn't have hurt.
Let's get down to Ben Dixon.
Well, you can, James Frawley's just caught one right in the ribs there from Paddy Cripps with that hanger he just took there. But the man of the moment I want to speak about is Ryan Sharma. As you can see there, he's marked in defence. Has been up forward most of the night. And Jason, you touched on it in the third quarter. Ruffy's only been the tall target. He needs to step up and come down there and be an option for Hawthorn, because they've gone inside 50 but haven't capitalised or taken a clunk or a mark. So I think he needs to lift in the last quarter if the Hawks are to win.
Said the fumbles, James Sicily at ground level. Ball quite greasy, number of players struggling. There's the knee. It's a good mark for Cripps.
Oh, that would have hurt. Right in the shoulder blade of the scapula.
Just sucking the big ones in, Jared.
Yeah, they.
Oh, the meter, please.
Let's hope he doesn't need an X-ray.
Yeah, the Hawks have taken plenty of marks inside 50, 19-6, but none of them have been contested.
Nope.
Dow, maybe a spin too many. He's going to be penalised for that.
Well, they had a dream start last week, Paddy Dow, but a little bit of a dose of reality tonight.
Just the 7 disposals, no score for Paddy Dow. Here's Shellmakers a bit closer to goal, as Dicko wishes. On the bounce, Ruffett taken instantly, but maybe in his back. Just with the momentum from Liam Jones.
One of those where you've got to turn the player onto his side.
Just a little bit, isn't it? Just got to show the umpire something. Into the pocket, Gunston, and that famous 19 Guernsey. And it goes over the boundary line and out of bounds. Little baby in the background there. It's pretty late night. Scores level. McAvoy over the top. Burgoyne gets it up. Zach Smith. Hanrahan. Burgoyne waiting, delivering. Showmaker's left foot. Had to rush it onto the boot. As a result, couldn't quite get it to come together. Enough to give them the lead, though.
But on display was the creativity and the greatness of Sean Burgoyne, just being able to fade and work his way outside of real congestion, set up a handball for a shot at goal.
Jed Lamb came off second best out of all that. In fact, he's going to come from the ground, touching his shoulder, leadering.
So it's the kick you talked about, Jason. You take it, you get a mark, you get a stat, but you've really got nowhere at this stage, and you've still got to get to the other end of the ground.
Fisher commits, well, and then actually had to recommit, and anything could have happened from there.
Good kick in the
It was
end.
clever in the end, wasn't it?
Finds Kennedy, who does go to that outer side, and now Wiedering as things start to perhaps open up a little bit for the Blues. Perhaps. A lot of short stuff. Plowman. Yep, they've inched their way forward. Oh, vulnerable was Wiedering. Morrison, that maybe could have cleaned him up.
Had to go early though, Morrison. He saw it unfolding.
Back for Mullet. Handled it pretty well. Fisher. Kept on coming. Mullet. O'Brien. Butchered the left foot on the bounce. Cunningham chips it up. Silvani. Thomas just was able to steal himself.
He'll get a free kick.
Yeah, he's going to get a better shot at it this time.
Do you think we need to blow the whistle for advantage, Jason? We can hear clearly the umpire being mic'd up, the yelling of advantage. Can you put the whistle away and just call it like every other sport?
Well, I guess the only problem there is the umpire then has to wait to see if the advantage unfolds, and then we're going to get a lot of late whistles, pulling play back.
You can always bring it back.
Just one of them, Mark, guys. Push right out, Ed. Take him out, mate. Take him out.
So Thomas
15 guys.
shouldn't really have a problem from here. 13 disposals and 2 goals for Dale Thomas. And you can make it 14 and 3 right now as Carlton hit the front again.
Well, they look like scoring every time they go inside 50. You can just see the late tackle there from Jager O'Meara, the right arm. Not a lot in it. Just at the top of the shoulder. And that's where Jed Lamb came in and actually hurt himself when he was trying to put off Ryan Schoenmakers. And they've just taken the wind out of himself. Let's hope it's nothing worse than that.
Back in the middle. Cripps.
Impey. It's a free kick to Hawthorn. Jarman Impey being held. Play for the support.
You heard the explanation.
Support for a hold. Play on, play on.
15th disposal.
Play on.
He's kicked 3 goals. Second crack at it. Mitchell taking them wide. Oh, Whitecross the latest to fumble a mark. Thomas held him at bay. Nifty little handball. Simpson along the line. Here's Stratton.
Next guys, come on. Okay.
I reckon Dale Thomas would be pleased with his start to the season in the JLT. He's certainly moving more freely. He's winning plenty of footy.
Had 17 disposals last week.
Yep, he's put 2 good games together back-to-back.
See what he has done. He's worked on his goal-kicking routine. We've seen 2 perfect executions of set shots tonight where he's run perfectly straight and kicked the ball perfectly straight.
Sicily hacks it and it falls for Henderson. And then Mitchell had nothing to go to. Cupboard was bare. Play on the call. Ed Curnow had Duray and Morrison. Gang tackle. Ooh.
Carlton. Advantage.
Skipper trying to leverage the advantage. Takes it out wide. Marchbank drifting down along the wing. He's placed it out in front. Dow gets away from Frawley.
Well played.
And kicks it. Oh,
Touched it.
for everyone.
Was
Just
touched. Gee, I didn't think he got a finger on it.
It's a real challenge for Hawthorn. They're here to win.
Yeah.
And we know they've got a couple of players out, but they may have a couple of players out in round 1.
Wait for the play on call.
Who's going to provide the maturity and the leadership to get them across the line?
Dow was with us. He thought it wasn't touched.
Oh, the big barrel.
Maybe it's going to be McAvoy.
Hold there.
Carlton have got the running at the moment.
Keep it on. Play on.
Bit of blood been patched up. More leaking out. Howe possibly took a step too many, but he was able to still get it to his man. Hanrahan takes it on the wing for Hawthorn. Delays the release. Sends it up to the 50. Blues have the extra.
Play on.
Roughhead got crushed.
And that's the long kick that the Hawks really don't want to get engaged in. But they've just lacked a little bit of run in the second half. Hasn't quite been as flowing and as skillful and as open as it was in the first half for them. They've got to find a way to get it back on their terms.
Well, they haven't been able to find that loose player and the uncontested mark in the forward 50 that they did so well in the first half.
And that's credit to the Blues for tightening up.
Play on.
Stratton casually takes some territory. Umpire ticks it off. Carlton have won the contested possession battle. They're +9 in that area. And Hawthorn's pressure, particularly in that opening term, reflected in the tackle numbers, 77 to 41. Big disparity in the tackle count in favour of the Hawks.
Try.
Cripps sends them in motion again and works in with Murphy. Well, lets all the traffic go past, then swings it back to the skipper. Well worked by the Blues. Didn't look pretty, and then downright ugly with that kick. O'Meara. Here's Silvani. giving them plenty of chances. Dow, nothing clean about this passage of play. O'Brien next to feel it. Have the inevitable ball up. 10 minutes remaining in this match. Hawthorn getting out to a 22-point lead midway through the third term, but have kicked just 1 goal since then. Ed Curnow.
He's been a great servant for the Blues through some tough times, Ed Curnow.
Bruised his larynx in round 14. That ended his season last year.
Be hoping to put together a few more years and enjoy the rise of the Blues.
Enjoy playing with his brother too. He has the hallmarks of a very dynamic player. Have you seen Charlie Curnow tonight, boys? 11 disposals, 4 marks.
Well, he looked early in the piece as if he was going to explode. He really hasn't had a major impact. He's got his hands to a lot of balls and 2 grabbed.
A good sign is, though, when he competes in a packed situation or a contested situation, the ball normally comes to ground because he gets his hands on it.
White cross for Isaac Smith.
So as long as he's creating that contest and not allowing intercept marks, there's a valuable role for him to play, and he'll start to grab a few more of them the more he puts himself in that position.
Okay. Boy came over the top. Free kick. Now Hawthorn's way. Duray trying to kickstart them into attack. Well placed for White cross. Eyes off the 50. Has Henderson deep. To go longer than that. Roughhead comes up. Marchbank across. Jones from the other angle. Here's Impey. Always dangerous. Might be captured here though, holding the ball.
The tough thing when you're pinpointing a long contested ball to Ruffy, it's really difficult for Ruffy because there's 2 blokes with bigger springs side by side him.
Glass. Dow waiting. Hardwick. Hard to get used to the fact that the number 15 jumper is not filled by Luke Hodge.
It was a horrible entry from Daniel Howe. He had 3 options. I reckon he picked the toughest one and another grubber kick. I reckon we've seen at least a dozen of those going inside 50 from Hawthorn. So there's a number of things they need to work on. Certainly some of the foot skills going forward have been ordinary, and a lot of the fumbling at ground level wouldn't please Alistair Clarkson.
Okay. Howe is pushed away by Cripps. They fight amongst themselves a little, the Blues, but the result pretty good. Marchbank takes it 30 metres further away from the Hawthorn goal. Carlton lead by 6 points. They've kicked 3 more goals than the Hawks, but lead by just 6 points. Hawthorn 12-17, making up that 89. Ed Curnow again continues to work away at the coalface. Murphy up to 23 disposals now. Gives this one back.
We can see what they're trying to do out of the clearance. They're trying to maintain possession, but there's so many numbers, it's so difficult.
Massive kick from Isaac Smith. Jones on guard. Wiedering. Wiedering's had 25 disposals tonight now.
Oh, well played.
Pickett bursting through the middle. He's had 1. He's going to have a second. Glass tries to hem him in. He does that reasonably successfully. And here's Charlie Curnow.
That's an enormous effort from Pickett, wasn't it?
Brilliant. And it's the leg speed that's continually troubled Hawthorn tonight.
And he gives it plenty to the top of the square. McKay. Gunston back in defence now. Cripps, Howe to the voice of Sicily. Precarious kick. And he plays on the big man, Casbolt. And it's come back and hits the old Wilbur post.
They are all over Hawthorn at the moment, and they are showing great desperation, the Blues. They want this.
Gunston. Henderson was out in the full.
This has been a horrific display of kicking at various stages by the Hawks tonight.
60% they're going by foot, and they're normally up in the 70s.
Here's O'Brien.
Block. Free kick to the Blues.
It's going to Cripps. 26 disposals, 15 contested possessions.
You just see the block there. It was a clear free kick.
Going around the corner. Doesn't want a straight drop punt grip, Jared. From 15 metres out, 45-degree angle at worst.
You better kick it. And he has. Carlton's lead extended to 13 now.
Well, it's a rookie error by Blake Hardwick. It's okay to block, but you've got to do it in a way that doesn't give the free kick away. You can see him having a look. He's not looking at the football. It's a clear sign. All the triggers were there for the umpire.
He didn't need to turn his head because he didn't put his arms out, which is good, but you can't turn around and look because that gives it away to the umpire. So you use your peripheral vision. Because if you get that space first and you occupy it and you don't move, you're okay. You're entitled to do that, to stand your ground. As soon as you look around and just edge a little bit over, you're going to get pinged every time.
Someone in the Carlton box claiming that move. Cripps to the goal square.
What a difference he makes to this Carlton team. Contested ball beast. 15 games he played last year. Had the broken leg in round 16.
He's not in at the centre bounce though, so that's the challenge.
Yeah. Impey. Big ball for Ruffy. Jones matched him all the way. And here's Mullet. That's some good things for Carlton tonight.
Once again, the long kick in gets mopped up. They've got to find a different method of attack, Hawthorn, because that kick's not working for them.
O'Shea. Up to the wing, Casbolt, Cripps, Sicily, Burgoyne. Waiting to release the kick, and eventually it comes from Schoenmakers. Gunston. To Ruffy again. Jones with that closing speed. Curnow takes them out to the wing. Petreski-Seaton can scoot along. That's conservative. Goes backwards to Lamb.
Got away with it. And they just look like they've got a little bit more run at the moment, the Blues. And they're making the Hawks defend, working them hard. This is really good. They want to keep hitting loose targets. Not doing risky things like that.
A little too adventurous.
But another really bad fumble from Whitecross.
Plowman. O'Shea. Bruce. Wiedering. Fisher. Cunningham. Bruce again. Howe. Sicily. Some tied boys. Whitecross all going by hand. Working it into the middle. Down at the back of the pack is Morrison. He keeps his feet and he can stroll into goal. And finally the Hawks are able to put it through.
Well, it's a good goal by the Hawks. On the back of, I reckon, a bit of panic by Carlton. They were desperate to try and find an inside kick. Then they overused the ball, the handball, rather than just having a feel for the game, knowing it was probably time just to settle down a little bit, control the ball. You didn't have to panic, and then the turnover came. And nice use of the core strength there to stand your ground and kick a goal on your feet when your teammate, when your opposition goes to ground.
Let's get down to the ground and Ben Dixon.
Thanks, Hutto. I've just been super impressed with Carlton's back line. Hawthorn have had 20 more inside 50, so on any given day you would say Hawthorn will be 20 or 30 points in front. So they've withstood the heat down there enormously and then had some composure. Wiedering, Liam Jones, Marchbank, Plowman, so they've been super there tonight.
Yep, and half the problem's been Hawthorn just bombing the ball inside, and that last goal came about because Morrison was clever enough not to contest in the air. He just held his ground and made sure the ball got on the deck, and then it favoured him at ground level.
Obviously the goal kicking hadn't helped either. 13 goals, 17. Blues have got to that 100 mark. This is a great sign for them. They've been very accurate in front of the sticks. 16-6. Burgoyne up amongst the thick of the action. Henderson onto that right boot.
Good tackling pressure though by Petreski-Seaton, I think it
Yes,
was.
it was. Yep.
Really did have an impact.
Missed only 2 games last year on a limited pre-season. Sam Petreski-Seaton winning Carlton's best first-year player.
Got to be a throw-in, hasn't it? Because he called play on while the player was outside the boundary. and he didn't immediately in a straight line run in and kick the ball. So he moved sideways outside the boundary line, at which point the umpire called play on. And they'll let you do that if it's the one straight motion in kicking. You can see the play on call, and it's too late. He's kicked it from outside the boundary line.
After having a run in the ruck, Casbolt was able to keep him at bay. Guide it for Kennedy. So 4 minutes remaining. We've seen this in a couple of JLT matches where the players can feel a bit of a rehearsal for a tight finish. 7 points the difference. Hanrahan had a couple of nice touches in this last quarter. Up to half forward. Careful approach down the line from Marchbank. Gets Kennedy.
They push Ruffy up onto the ball, but his man hasn't gone with him, and Jones is just sitting as an extra in defence for Carlton.
Right, looking for a free. Safely over the line. 3 minutes 36 remaining. Carlton, the one-stage trial by 22 points midway through the third term. Now hold a 7-point lead. Isaac Smith. O'Shea having a crack as you'd expect. Exposed at senior level again.
Play on up 15, play on.
Hanrahan busies himself at halfback. Kicks it for Gunston. Can't take the mark. Slapped forward by Plowman. Burgoyne with the extra touch. It was a good one too. Mitchell couldn't capitalise. It's a little greasy, as we said, as the night's gone on. Shake of the head. Tom Mitchell.
That nearly have set a world record for fumbles tonight. The Hawks. It's been an extraordinarily high number. It is greasy conditions, granted, but Carlton have handled it a lot better.
And they lead with 3 minutes remaining by more than a goal. That could change in a moment. Burgoyne with the high launch. Wiedering over the top. Fight about who can concede the behind, and it's an even goal, the difference now.
Yeah, you're the closest. I said I felt there was pressure. You're the closest. Behind. They're behind you.
Just the second rush behind amongst the 18 for Hawthorn. Again, that conservative kick into the back pocket. Fair enough at this stage. Oh, Levi's gone early.
It's against Roughhead for a block. Oh. How does he get a free kick there? He actually turned around and stepped in front of Casbolt to stop him flying for the mark. I thought that should have gone Carlton's way.
It's touched at the back. Puopolo's back on the ground. Keeps it in. Looking for the miracle. Handballs to a teammate who's over the boundary.
Well, the first 3 quarters of this game, Hawthorn dominated possessions.
Roughhead, he turns around and steps in front and doesn't even compete for the mark and gets the free kick. I reckon they got that one horribly wrong.
They missed the signal that time, didn't they? The cue. From the throw, and Roughhead up against Levi. A goal will score, level the scores. No extra time in the JLT, I don't think, to get a result.
I don't think we need extra time, Hardo.
Dominated possession in this term. For the first time in the game, Carlton, it's 89 to 71. And the likes of Cripps and Murphy, Simpson are having plenty of it.
What about a goal-kicking shootout, Jace, to decide the JLT if it's a draw? Right to Silvani.
Foot race.
There's nobody there. Burton's going to take the gold medal, but he's hunted down by Lamb. Glass just braced himself. The Dow tackle was full of hunger and intent for Carlton, and that sums them up.
He was a little lucky because he was not making much of an effort to get rid of it, but the umpire called the balls out. It slipped out the side.
Yeah, it was pretty transparent, his intentions there, Glass.
He said Lampton, oh, lucky.
Minute 30 to go. O'Meara. And they take it the full length, the Hawks. Some hesitation, but just clever play. Knew what he was doing, Bruce. Drilling ball. Hanrahan waited. He's full of indecision. Has to rush the kick into the pocket. Puopolo hits the ground. He's ready for the handball. Mitchell gives it to him to level the score. No!
Oh, another fumble.
Sicily through the armour. Some tired boys out there now. Jones up and under. There's Carlton players everywhere. Cunningham dragged down by Glass. Still alive. Roughhead. Petrevsky-Seaton. He should be full of running. It's a free kick. And it's Carlton.
Contact below the knee was paid.
But Roughhead's argument is he actually got the ball and handballed it and was diving in the handballing process. That's an interesting one.
It was.
He was the one in control of the football and was actually in the act of disposing it.
So can they maintain possession here in a dress rehearsal for a tight finish?
As Ruffy's just realised, they have to push up and force them to kick.
Jones does that. Cripps is in amongst it, but effortless mark by Stratton. Didn't hit the kick at all. Glass. They circle the 50. Impey on the line. Touch.
Well done. Great effort, Liam Jones.
Could be the winning point.
Yep.
Handy point, maybe.
10 seconds, it's going to be quick.
So he's handballing it, and he's been pinged for contact below the knees. That makes it interesting.
You can't pay that.
I wouldn't have thought so. You've got to back the bloke disposing of the ball.
You love those free kicks, Jared.
Yeah, I wouldn't have paid that one.
Pay that one. Siren sounds. Carlton.
And look at the reaction. That's important. They wanted that and they earned it. That's a terrific result for the Blues.
Great impetus heading into the season for Carlton. An 8-goal third quarter set it up. But really they fought it out the whole way through and deserve a 5-point win. 16-6 102 to 13-19 97.
Jason, you mentioned the pace and the ball movement. Carlton have got that in spades, the pace. It just looks as if they're starting to really transform the outside game. And the fact that they could come back from being well tailed up early in the piece and hold on when Hawthorn came back at them augurs well for a fantastic 2018.
Well, one of the things we spoke about was how long can you maintain an effort for? And that's where the bottom teams traditionally drop off. You do it for a quarter, you can do it for a half, some do it for 3 quarters, but eventually the good teams work over them. Carlton just refused to stop working tonight, and at different stages it didn't look like the game was on their terms or in their keeping, but and Hawthorn had too many opportunities that went wasted.
And they did it without Matty Cruiser being there, which is a big blow because he's one of their most significant players. And I also think they did it in a very even spread. There wasn't anybody who kicked half a dozen goals or took 6 or 7 hangers. It was a terrific team performance.